of a topic that is, I would say, relatively well known. And if one goes through the report, uh, I don't think many people who have been through this or have worked on it, Pakistan FBR issues or those related to our taxation issues, they'd be surprised by the findings. I wouldn't say that. So let me just try to put this instead of going through the minute details of the report. So let me just try to put this in a general context. Specifically, how those who are in the corridors of power and those who make decisions, how they view their tax policies. What is a tax policy to them? Because and the report would reveal the things that we come up against again and again in terms of FBR and our taxation. It's about uh, it's politics, it's questionable decision making, it's institutional weaknesses, uh, outdated procedures, and extractive taxation. These kind of things, you will find all of these mention of all of these in the report. So let me uh, get to what the important questions are in context of our taxation policy. Well, first of all, what we see is repeatedly is there is failure to understand that tax policy as part of a fiscal policy tool could be a very important one in terms of economic growth. So, for example, uh, how many times do you see a report from FBR or even when the budget comes up? I've never seen anything in the budgetary discussion or any paper from the FBR which mentions that how do they intend to stimulate economic growth through, for example, uh, capital accumulation. How do they intend to do that? And there is good evidence, very good evidence to suggest that taxation policy is a very important component in that respect. What we do see again and again is that every year you'd have a figure in the budget that tells you that FBR would collect such and such amount by the year end. So basically, what you're doing is those people who run this country, what they're doing is they are telling FBR, their tax machinery, that no matter what, you're going to get me this money. And that leads to a lot of spillovers, negative spillovers, because they have to meet those targets in the end. You have the media speaking out every day. You would say, "Oh, in this quarter they've missed this much. They were supposed to collect this much, but they've missed," and it's big news, right? But nobody discusses that why is it that they've missed this target? Is it some institutional weakness? Is it something else? So at the very start, they don't. I would say there is a lack of understanding or underestimation of or the tax policy. It's more of an extractive tool that you have to extract money somehow from somewhere, from the people, from wherever, but find this money. For historically speaking, a very profligate government. Every government that comes, I mean, look at their non-development expenditures, which are called the current expenditures. I think they are now somewhere around 15 trillion rupees or even above those. So it's all about meeting those expenses. Development expenditure is only around 15%. They've reduced it even further, which happens every year. So, so let me give you an example how effective tax policy can be. And these one of the components of this PRR loan was about a sub component was about buying scanners to enhance trade, specifically at the border crossings between Afghanistan and Pakistan. Now, from my experience, because I've done some research on ex-FATA, the tribal areas, the best thing that could happen in those areas that could stimulate economic growth is increasing the trade between Afghanistan and Pakistan. One of the commissioners that I met in Khyber, he gave me a very interesting example. Back in 2013-14, when Afghanistan and Pakistan's trade was at its maximum, and afterward it has come down quite considerably. He said that just in Khyber, we had, without any government intervention, without any PSDP, it led to establishment of around 400 um, uh, centers, or 400 service centers, hospitals, medical facilities, hotels. So you don't even need a PhD for if you can improve the trade over there. And how do you improve the trade over there? Scanners would help a lot, right? That was one component of that loan, but they haven't bought that. It's been 5 years now. And out of the, I think it was the component, it was 80 million, right? And out of the 80 million, they have spent only 4 or 5% till now. Tobias would tell you more about that. But anyway, it's an institutional weakness. The main weakness lies at how you do the things, and it happens again and again and again. We see those institutional weaknesses, and there is I don't see any remedy coming over कि यार इसको किस तरह ठीक किया जाए. How do we make use of sorry, how do we ameliorate these weaknesses? Now the second one, complete lack of political will to take brave decisions. So what would be a brave decision? uh, so here's an example. We've been experimenting with bifurcating between people as filers and non-filers. We know that it doesn't work. We have good evidence to suggest and good research to suggest that there are negative spillovers there, but we still continue on with this policy. So again, where does political will again come? So exemptions, they are worth trillions of rupees every year. Why do we need exemptions in taxes? If you do away with those exemptions, your tax to GDP ratio would automatically improve. But they don't do that. Then there was this question that I put forward to many people at the FBI and even the one that I interviewed, and they refused to answer. Why are certain groups out of taxation ambit? Bureaucracy, military, they're not filers. And if there are any filers in there, how many of them are there? Even within FBR, they don't tell. So, and very closely related to this issue is the issue of incentives. Ma'am, Bridget talked about incentive within the society. So what's the incentive? Why should I ask somebody to be a filer when within within FBR there are hardly, I think there was a report that only 30% or 25% are filers within FBR. So how do I ask somebody to be a filer? If he puts the question to me that how many filers are in the FBR and how many in the bureaucracy pay their taxes that are filers, so what should be the there is no answer. They can't defend that. So it's also about incentive structure. You cannot tell people, yes, there is obviously, absolutely, people whenever our prime ministers and ministers comes, the first thing that they tell us is कि यहाँ पे जो टैक्स की चोरी बहुत ज़्यादा होती है. You're tax thieves. We are led to believe that. But the issue over here is not about tax stamp. Nobody is born a thief. What about the incentive structure in the economy? What do they see around themselves? So if I have to buy services, if the government is spending trillions of rupees on education system and security, but still I have to end up paying for those out of my pocket, how do you tell the citizens to be fair with their taxes? What am I paying for? That again is an issue that keeps propping up, but there is no answer for that. And as I said, that every year the expenses of these institutions which are supposed to do their work, but they don't, they keep increasing, but there is nothing coming out of it. One other issue that I would say is, again, this fixation again from the government side is upon the supply side rather than the demand side. I talked about the expenses, specifically the current expenses, non-development expenses. They are now around 15 trillion or more. But what are we getting out of it? Even if you look at the development expenditures, what exactly are we getting out of it? So if you are saying that development is the name of building underpasses, overpasses, and signal-free corridors, so I would disagree with that, because Lahore is in front of you. It's the most polluted city in the world. And one of the reasons it is because we incentivize owning cars rather than running public transport. So there is this incentive structure. Why is the government so hell bent on supplying underpasses, overpasses, roads, and these kind of things? And look at their expenses. Why don't they decrease their footprint within the economy? If you decrease your footprint within the economy, if you decrease your size, you wouldn't even need that much taxation, right? So look at the other way. Your tax to GDP ratio would definitely increase like that. We often talk about, and Prime Institute has held several seminars regarding Laffer curve. They've done very well. So Laffer curve, obviously, everybody knows that if you can bring your taxation rates down, you will see an increase in your overall tax revenue. So, the argument, my argument, closing my arguments and concluding my arguments, I'd say that the solutions and the issues are known. It's not that they're not known, but what we lack over here is the will to implement them. So the important question is, who is going to implement these things? Who is going to finally come up with something that can ameliorate these issues that are actually well known? And the report is basically an extension of these same issues, these same things that are coming up again and again. And the reports again suggest that it's an institutional weakness, it's a problematic within its problems within the government that are the main culprit. So again, we have taken another loan, and again we realize that there isn't much coming out of it because of the way they are using the loans and the way that the institution is run. So that's pretty much it from my side. As I said, the details are in the report. Thank you.